From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of LALATE, and I'm back live direct from you in a special breaking news report from Santa Monica, California, about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over those monthly stimulus checks the Democrats still want you to have and why you're likely to get more months of checks. Then the deal, $3.5 trillion of other money is coming to you, checks, in this fourth stimulus recon. It's a done deal, and I'll go over all the exciting details about these $3.5 trillion of checks coming to you. And then the vote. There's a vote set for next week. Oh my goodness. In the final 15 of the final 7, we're going to go over these final 7 days of the fourth stimulus recon. We're likely at the finish line, and I'm going to go over all the exciting details going into this weekend. And then we cut to the big moolah, which is fifth stimulus this fall. Raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, and more. And then we cut to the money that viewers continue to get, like Nisi, who got $23,000. Minutes ago, I got a DM from someone on Instagram, got $18,000 for rent. Yes, I'm going to go over how you can get this big money as well. It just got this email just seconds ago. It's a big afternoon. It's a big day. Let's get to the details starting right now. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? It's a big afternoon, and I'm excited to be back with a live special breaking news report from Santa Monica about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. It's a little bit cooler, not cool enough. It was supposed to be cooler. It's just, it's better, not better enough, if there's such a word. Jump in the live chat. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, a lot of breaking news, hence the live broadcast. We'll be going over that monthly check and why you're likely to get more months of checks. We'll be going over the $3.5 trillion of checks that you're getting. It's confirmed. The deal, the price, everything is solidified except the vote on the actual bill, but it's $3.5 trillion of checks, and you're getting them. And then we cut to the vote next week, a major vote on a major item that tees up recon. Oh my goodness, we are really right in front of that finish line. But is there a plan B? Plan B? You're going to find it out in the final 15 of the final 7. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raised your benefits up. This was a promise to you, including my veterans. Yes, very exciting details in the second half of this video. And then we got to the big money across the board that viewers continue to get, like Nisi, who got $23,000, John, who got $10,000 to $12,000. Yes, Louis, $18,000 for Snap, and that viewer who sent me a DM just minutes ago, $18,000 for rent. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. Next up is Evenings LALATE, taped minutes ago. It's a brand new show tonight. Then Sirloin at 8 o'clock. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video. 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Also, at the end of this video, a personal surprise message, so stay to the very end. Let's cut right to those monthly stimulus checks. House bill, Senate proposal look very different now in view of what has happened during this pandemic. We were just 3 weeks ago that we wondered maybe the pandemic may be over. 2 weeks ago when we realized the pandemic's not over. Last week when we realized the pandemic's really not over. And this week when we realized the pandemic is far from over. Well, House bill, pandemic plus 1 year, monthly stimulus checks, Senate proposal, July to December. House bill, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Senate amount monthly unknown, but word on the street is the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. With the pandemic clearly no longer over, then the issue is, how many checks? Well, clearly more than 12 checks from the House. More than 12 checks, but because the pandemic's not over. And more than 12 checks would mean more than $13,000 from the House. Let's compare that to this and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now. Vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Boy, things change quickly. Who gets a fourth stimulus check? You do. Democrats represent that if you got a third stimulus check, you're getting a fourth. Single individual, $75,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. A family of four, you get a fourth stimulus check. Just quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI and SSDI, VA, you get a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would be the same for everyone, yes, including adult dependents. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. Comes monthly. But I fell for it. A week ago today, I was on the beach live streaming to you. And a viewer said, "Hey, LALATE, is that the check behind you?" And I realized, oh, it was the check. No joke. This was the exchange in the live broadcast. And I turned to the check and said, "Hey, check, how are you? Good to see you again. Don't you know me? It's LALATE with the purple always. A rude check. Just a rude check." And the viewer said, "No, LALATE, it's not a rude check. It's just not a waivable check. I've seen your videos." I hate when they do that to me. Yeah, the fourth stimulus check would land on the month of July. Those Democrats represented, and the month of August, for the month of August. But in the second part of this video, we go over the deal. Done. Congratulations. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you. The fourth stimulus recon has been done as an agreement that's being passed and done as to a price tag. And you're getting $3.5 trillion. There was someone who jumped into one of the comments yesterday, said, "I don't know if I don't know if I'm getting checks. I don't feel very optimistic." You're getting $3.5 trillion. Do you not want it? I'll take your $3.5 trillion. And when I say $3.5 trillion, I'm not saying $3.50. Nancy's ice cream. I'm saying $3.5 trillion. If you don't want it, I think we'll have a list here. If anyone doesn't want the $3.5 trillion, sort of sign the list and we'll just take care of the rest of the money for ourselves. So there you go. That's coming up in the second half of this video, and I'll go over what this exciting money is for. And then we cut to the third part of this video, which is the vote. Very exciting details. A vote is set for next week. I'll go over what that vote is for and why that vote is deliciousness for purposes of the recon. And then I'll go over Plan B. What Plan B? I'll be going over the surprise Plan B. Is it a plan or is it not a plan? Our plan is we'll go over it later in this video. Also, fifth stimulus coming up later in this video. It raises your benefits up as promised during the campaign trail, and it's finally happening. But first, let's get some money. Boy, as you saw in that opening broadcast remarks, before I went on air, just minutes ago, someone sent me a DM on Instagram, said, "Thank you, LA. I got $18,000 for rent for my family." Yes, what's going on? I had been reporting $5,000 of rent I can get viewers for this channel. Now you see, they're not getting $5,000 for rent, 4 to 6 months of rent. They're getting $18,000, as one viewer got just seconds ago. Nisi got $20,000 for rent and $3,000 for other monies. Viewers are killing it. If you got rent, post in the live chat right now. For Snap, John got $10,000, $12,000. Louis got $18,000. If you got Snap, post in the live chat right now. And utilities, $300. I said you can get. Viewers are getting $3,000. Post your success stories right now. What's going on? This channel is about cashing checks, not about tracking checks. In spring of last year, EIDL grant and loan checks were not going out, so there were no checks to track. But I stepped in, I got their applications approved for viewers, and I got them $25 million of EIDL loans checks to cash. In fall of 2020, second stimulus checks were not going out because they're not law yet, so there's no check to track. But I got viewers $250,000 of checks to cash. Like Tyrone, his family four out of Boston, got $15,000 for his channel to cash in December. But you're doing it again. But in bigger numbers I have ever seen for this channel. I'm so excited for you. So post your success stories right now. Get a pen and paper ready. We're going to go over the big money right for you right now. Each place has different eligibility. I'm going to show you how you can get this money. Each place has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Are you ready? Here you go. The keywords you say, viewers tell me, are critical to getting approved. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Rent or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or muddled. I mean, no one says the word muddled. I don't say the word muddled. I mean, I just said the word muddled 3 times, but I never say the word muddled. There you go. You got to say words they know. And there you go. Congratulations, Tim and Linda, who got this wonderful pot of money. The next pot of money is money for Snap. And yes, John, my friend, got $10,000 to $12,000. Congratulations, John. Louie got $18,000 for Snap. And it's just a fortune. Why is it so much money? What is SNAP? SNAP is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. How much does it pay? A fortune. Family of 4 in Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% nationally between now and December. Also, minutes before I went on air, a viewer said to me that she was informed her state had stopped the 15%. I don't know about this, but I don't think it's possible. The 15% add-on is coming from the federal government, so I don't think they can stop it, but I would like to know more about that. If other viewers have seen their states vow to not give you what the federal government has given you. Really interesting. But there you go. Congratulations, Lynn and Glenn, who got it for her son and her mom and herself. Gail, who got it as well. Post your Snap success stories. And we're only 11 minutes this video. We got more money right now. More money. And it's money coming back from your state. States have been ordered to refund back to you overpayment on unemployment benefits due to computer error. And how much? One viewer got $3,000, another viewer got $5,000. Where's it landing? Direct deposit. When? Reach out to your respective state and say, hey, state, where's that unemployment check due to computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works this time? And finally, the last part of the money is the refund check back from IRS. Margaret got it, Cog got it, Michael got it. This is that refund check for the unemployment. But I got an update. IRS says that the average round of this refund is $1,265. Direct deposits started its current wave on July 14th. And those with paper checks, the wave started July 16th. There'll be a new wave every week. He actually said that. So if you're at the beach and you see the IRS, no, we're not going to do that joke. So there you go. For stimulus, well, this money for the check is wonderful. Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. You're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? This month, otherwise, also could have happened last month. Some may still happen next month. Can you track it? Yes. Go to irs.gov, do transcript search. And 70% of the time, it'll reveal stuff you never knew. It'll reveal the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid, obviously, 7% of the time. But after that, it reveals stuff that you didn't want to know, stuff that you wish you never heard. It'll reveal when Mitch was on Star Search and he did that tribute song to Chuck. Was the name of the song Slave to You by Britney? Can we top that? We cannot. But the refund check will also potentially be in that IRS tracker tool as well. Can we top that song? We can't, but we can certainly go to the second part of your forced stimulus check update in 2021 right now, which is deal. Done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you under this forced stimulus package. And much like third and second stimulus, where I got you all these sums of money daily, I'll be getting you the $3.5 trillion over the next few months. Very, very exciting. First, they agreed upon the price and they agreed upon the passing it. How did they do this? They shrunk the recon. A recon originally had all this money in there. And now all that money included roads and bridges. Unpassable. Democrats said they would not pass it with roads and bridges in the recon. So they threw the roads and bridges out into the bipartisan and shrunk the recon. By taking the roads and bridges out and putting it into the bipartisan, it made it passable. A conservative publication confirms my reporting. The higher the price tag was before with the recon, the harder it was to pass. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the bipartisan and put it into the recon, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Sorry, Mitch, sorry to set you up. Now, Mitch doesn't feel set up because obviously the recon is for the Democrats, but the Republicans love the bipartisan. They love the infrastructure bipartisan. Once that recon was shrunk by the Democrats, they were able to add some more money back in, and they got a price tag that they adore. $3.5 trillion. Done deal. And this is a major achievement for them. Representative Ilhan Omar said, we got to get a recon that goes as far as we want it. She got it, $3.5 trillion. Congratulations to Elon. And then Richie Torres said, we have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. And the Progressive Caucus was meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon was big enough. They got it, $3.5 trillion. Well, how do they do this? By protecting the recon, because the recon is all progressive checks for you, checks and more checks. And Schatz had said the White House considers the progressive priorities in the recon the White House's priorities. So does Jalopal. How did we get to this wonderful spot? By getting the recon written. Now, here's what you need to know. I'm going to go over what a recon is, who writes it, how do they vote on it, when you see it, when you do not see it, and I'm also going to go over the terms. On this channel, you hear only two terms, recon for your money, and then roads and bridges in the bipartisan. But if you tune into broadcast media, they use other terms. So I want to go over what the other names are in case you hear them. Roads and bridges versus recon. All right, so let's go over recon. Recon is your money. Also stands for reconciliation. Also is called the budget bill. The way you recognize it is the price tag. You'll see an article with the price tag 3.5 trillion. The people quoted in the article like a Bernie Sanders. The second item is bipartisan. Broadcast media may also call it infrastructure. Roads and bridges. Price tag 1.5 trillion. People quote in the article about it are Kristen Sinema and like a Mitt Romney or Ron Portman. Who writes a recon? Well, recon stands for reconciliation. It's written by the House subcommittee members, but ultimately it's written by the Democrats for the Democrats and passed by the Democrats. I had a hilarious comment in Overnight's Crypto 2 nights ago where someone said, I called up Susan Collins to ask her about my recon. Why would you ask Susan Collins, a Republican, about your Democratic recon? What? That's like asking Mitch McConnell to tell you where to get a San Francisco hairstyle. It doesn't make any sense. So remember, recon is written by Democrats for Democrats and passed by Democrats. The Republicans have nothing to do with the drafting of it. Who actually writes it? The House subcommittees write it, with the Senate subcommittees helping them, all Democrats. Under the Constitution, each House committee is delegated different subject matters when writing legislation. House Ways and Means, House subcommittee is responsible for writing stimulus checks. They wrote your third, they write in your fourth, they're writing your fifth. And along the way, those subcommittees are done with what they're doing. Let's say there's 10 subcommittees writing 10 pages. When they're done, they send them up to Chuck Schumer. 10 times 10, 100 pages. Chuck combines it, and then it's a 100-page bill that Chuck puts a big S on. Big S. Not for Laverne and Shirley, not for Schumer, but for Senate. And there you go. Until that point at which you see that bill with an S, you don't see it. And there's nothing on the Constitution that requires you to see it before then. When the subcommittees are working on it, you don't have to see what they're writing, what they're not writing, what they're voting on, what they're not voting on. They may show you, but they don't have to show you. And that ultimately, when you see it, you see it. Like a pop singer who has an upcoming album, she doesn't want to show you the songs or have you hear the songs in the album until it's released. That's what the Democrats are doing here. So as broadcast media and myself both say, we haven't seen the recon because it hasn't been shown to us. That's what the news is. Not the news. Fake news is when someone says, I haven't heard of this in the recon. The reason why you haven't heard it is because we haven't seen it. Can we top that? We can. As Jalopal had written Schumer a letter saying, Chuck, call the vote. Call the vote on the recon. That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats, part of 100 plus who had written the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow, that's wonderful news. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 House members of that House Ways and Means subcommittee, wait, the one you just mentioned? Yep, that one. Wrote the president a letter recently saying, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Can we top that? Yeah, we got to hold them to their promise. That's a big promise. They also represent they're doing fifth stimulus checks for you as well. They did third previously. Boy, but yeah, we can't top it. The president has done it. Biden has done it. The global minimum corporate tax rate is now done. 4 weeks ago, upwards now 5 weeks ago, the president went overseas to do a ceremonial signature about this, but it was only ceremonial. The actual signature this week. This makes fourth stimulus recon easier to write, vote, and pass. Why? It's a tongue twister because it's confusing. It's called the Global Minimum Corporate Tax Rate Minimum. Oh my goodness, I'm exhausted to say that. First, it makes it easier to write the fourth stimulus recon because that exhausting thing is not in there. It makes it easier to call a vote on the recon because that exhausting thing is not in there. It makes it easier to vote on the recon because the exhausting thing's not in there. It makes it easier to pass the recon because that exhausting thing's not in there. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 or the final 7, the most important 15 minutes you're going to see live on air today, I'll be going over the final 15 minutes of where the next 7 days are likely to land us. at the finish line if everything happens as planned. You're going to see what the Democrats are saying, what the Republicans are saying. There's a reason why this show is live today, normally taped, because there's a lot of breaking news. And it's coming up in the final 15. Then after that, also, is fifth stimulus, which raise your benefits up. I'll go over a little bit of that analysis as well. But something more wonderful than that is the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, SNAP, internet, reach out to the volunteers. They'll help you get that big money. Where are they? Where are you, volunteers? They're on the community page. Open the description of this video. You'll see an emoji of a house. Click that link. It'll send you over to the community page, news.lalate.com/community. And here's a little bit about them. Coming up, the final 15 of the final 7, and a personal surprise message from me. It's coming up in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on a big afternoon's broadcast live from Santa Monica with so much exciting breaking news about your fourth stimulus recon of 2021. We'll be going over the vote next week, the bills, the drafts, and the $3.5 trillion of checks you're getting. During the commercial break, someone was such a troll. She said, I don't understand. Am I getting a check? I said 1,000 times you're getting $3.5 trillion of checks. She also took homage with the fact that I was going over people getting $18,000 to save their homes and their businesses. She said, I don't want to hear that. She's gone. You don't want to hear people getting $18,000? Good, I'll take the $18,000. Someone else will take the $18,000. You don't want to hear that. I don't know where these people come from. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers for a reason. We do news like you need news. Complete and comprehensive. People getting fortunes from this channel. And if you only want to hear your news, well, then go write it yourself. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get to the breaking news as well. I'm sure she'll have problems having me talk about Social Security because that doesn't concern her either. Oh my goodness, some of these people. Yeah, I just want my video for myself. Well, go make your own video if you want a video about your issues. First, they'll raise your benefits up under SSI-DI reform, which is for my veterans, my seniors that have been waiting for this for an eternity. Since the start of this channel, practically. It was promised during the campaign trail by the president, and he did not deliver. Then during the transition papers, he did not deliver. So now the congressional Democrats are taking care of you, and they're putting it in the fifth stimulus. It's this fall. It would start in September, out to a vote by October, November. This is the huge game changer for them. Raising your benefit limits up, then removing the asset limit, adding an inflationary benchmark, then removing the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this works. Starts right now. First, we'll raise your benefits up one big time. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or SSA. Then it'll apply a new benchmark. That new benchmark is inflation. Well, the bill will likely go to a vote about November. Then they'll apply the benchmark around December, potentially, for next year's benefits. How high is that inflation going? Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, testified on Capitol Hill last week and said the same thing as the week before. It's transitory, meaning it's going to reach a temporary spike in December. Yes, right when they apply your benchmark. So how high is it going? It's going to go to about 5%. Wall Street says, and I say, complete agreement between the both of us. So let's do the analysis. First, they'll raise your benefits up lifetime. Then they'll apply that benchmark of, let's say, 5%, which will raise your benefits up not just 5% next year, but lifetime. Wow, this is wonderful news. Then they'll remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. They'll remove the asset cap, so you'll be able to have more than $3,000 in hand. Time to put something muddled. No, nothing muddled. Time to put some stimulus checks in your hand and maybe some tacos. Then they're going to move the one horrible marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear a loss of benefits, and you'll be able to get married right away. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. That's fifth stimulus. But yes, that House Ways and Means Subcommittee also represent, they're giving you a check as well. This would be next year. It would not overlap. Finally, if you're missing a first, second, or third stimulus check, you must request it on the tax return. Go to the tax return and file it, the 2020. You're required to, under IRS code, and request it on the tax return if you haven't reached out to a tax preparer. Lastly, if you're in the live chat and you haven't posted your success stories, post them right now. If you got rent, utilities, internet, post them right now, because 3 wonderful things happen from them, all of which are helping other people. Number 1, you're helping people see these big sums of money and inspiring them to get the money because of your success. So when you post it, someone else that may not have even applied considers the option of going and getting it. And then they realize, oh my goodness, I got it. Second, if you got 1 item and you see someone like Art Sullivan who got 3 items, you're inspired by him. Because Art got 3, maybe you'll not stop at 1 and go get 2 more. And finally, 3, we see the updates on the numbers. I got that email, that DM on IG, Instagram just minutes ago, $18,000 for rent. I think it's the second largest rent payout I've seen this month. It's huge. Very, very exciting. So every time you post that in the live chat, it really inspires other people. Now, if you're in the live chat and you haven't got to this money, and you notice it's all people with an emoji of a purple hawk, consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and underneath the video where it says join here. By becoming a member, you're delivered all this big money across the board. What happens is I deliver to you daily from the community page on YouTube a breakdown of all the money you can get under third stimulus. When second stimulus passed, there was a $600 stimulus check, but I said, hey, I'll get you $6,000. I got Tyrone $15,000. When third stimulus passed, there was a $14 stimulus check. I said, I'll get you $14,000. I got the viewer today $18,000 for rent, and I got Nisi $23,000 for rent. And when 4 stimuluses pass, there'll be $3.5 trillion of checks. And I'll ensure you get every check of those as well. So consider becoming a member. The link is under the video and get that delivered daily to you. And with that, it's time for the final 15 of the final 7 starting right now. I initially was calling the final 15 of the final 14, but by all accounts, we may be done in less than 7 days if what they present is actually happening. Here we go. We're going to start with the recon, then go to the bipartisan, back to the recon, over to the bipartisan, and then back to the recon. First, deal done. Recon. There's been a deal as to the passage of the recon and as to the price tag. For functionality, the recon has been passed. All they have to do is vote on the actual recon provisions. Here's what you need to know, is that by getting agreement on the price tag, they're effectively nearly done, says Senator Tim Kaine. All they do is slot the prices into the items. Number 2, it's great news because it's $3.5 trillion. It's a fortune. Bernie Sanders went into the negotiations asking for $7 trillion and came out celebrating at 3.5. Why? He said he got all the things he wanted paid for just in half the amount of time. Obviously, 3.5 is exactly half of 7. Great news. All right, then what are some of the items? In Evenings at LALATE, I forgot to go over some of these items, so my apology, and let me go over them right now. These are some of the items that are giving you checks in that recon, that 3.5 trillion. There's literally checks for everyone, including seniors and workers and everyone else. First, checks for free school meals, checks for tax breaks, checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for immigration reform, checks for farmers, checks for elections, checks for free internet. They're going to dedicate fortunes of internet money to local cities so that they can start their own free internet companies and give you free internet. Then checks for clean energy, and here comes the money for my seniors and my money for my workers. There's going to be checks for workers, checks for labor, checks for independent contractors, checks for unions, then my seniors, checks for Medicare expansion, checks for seniors, checks for eligibility age, checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing aid. Wow. Boy, oh boy, that is exciting. Now let's go over to the bipartisan. About a week ago today, Mitt Romney, Republican senator, came out and said, I think that the deal provisions of the recon, the bipartisan, will be done by the end of this weekend, and that we'll be ready to call for a vote this week. If not the week after. I said last week, and mainstream media agreed with me, that I did not think the vote on the bipartisan will be this week. I was right. I said the vote would be next week. Well, guess what? It's next week. Oh boy, that's coming up in a second. What then happened? Well, 2 days ago, Chuck Schumer called a vote. And in calling a vote, what did he call a vote for? I'll go slow over it. He called a vote to end discussion and negotiations of the bipartisan roads and bridges infrastructure. Not a vote on the bill, but to end discussion of it shortly thereafter. I said it was not going to pass, but I said it was working because it was putting fire under the people's feet to get it done. It did not pass, but it did wonders. Great news followed from it. What followed? Ron Portman, Republican senator, delivered to Chuck Schumer a letter from 12 Republicans saying they are ready to call the vote on the bipartisan bill this coming week. Yes! That's why it's called the Final 15 of the Final 7. Oh my goodness, that is exciting, great news. Let's cut back to the recon so you understand why this is big news for you. Remember, the recon has to go for a vote before the bipartisan. The recon goes for a vote before the bipartisan. And there's enough Democrats who had told us weeks earlier that you have to have the bipartisan ready, otherwise they won't vote on the recon. That was up until recently. Spoiler alert, that's coming up in a second. Those Democrats had said, you can't leave the bipartisan, for example, till December and just do the recon right now. Someone in the live chat said, whatever happened to July 4th? I've done that video 1,000 times. I don't want to repeat it, but let me just say it again. That at the time of the July 4th comment from Chuck Schumer, he said the vote would be done by July 4th. That was because the roads and bridges were in there. It was not passable. So no one was agreeing to pass the recon when roads and bridges were in there. That's why July 4th never happened. That was Chuck Schumer's promise, but it couldn't happen because he didn't get the Democrats on support. Now that roads and bridges are not in there, the recon goes for a vote first. And if the bipartisan is going for a vote next week, then guess when your money is going for a vote? Next week. Wow, that is incredible, great news. Now, let me analyze the news. Here is my opinion, not necessarily facts, but my opinion. Well, who delivered that letter again? Ron Portman. Oh, Ron Portman? Here's my opinion of the situation. If you don't recall Ron Portman from my 2020 recordings, he's a Republican. And in 2020, when you were losing your home, your car, and your business during the horrible parts of the pandemic in May of 2020, he came out and said, get back to work and cut off your unemployment benefits. Yeah, that Ron Portman. So do I put faith in his representations? Well, let me say it this way. When considering something Ron Portman says versus what Senator Mitt Romney, also Republican, says, I rather put my belief in Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney has detailed a lot on this channel in the last year, gazillions of videos, has always delivered on what he says. He delivers on time, he delivers on substance, and he writes fast. If he says it's this day, it's this day. In fact, I detailed a lot just this week alone when I talked about where Toomey was about to blow up your second stimulus and you weren't going to get anything. Mitt Romney came in and settled everything down and got done. If Mitt Romney says it's going to be done, I believe Mitt Romney. If it's Ron Portman, I rather believe Mitt Romney. So there is my opinion situation. All right, then we get to Plan B. What Plan B? There was an article released this week about an alleged Plan B. Alleged Plan B. Not that there is a Plan B, but that there's an alleged Plan B. What was the alleged Plan B? Well, the article claims, with a quote from Bernie, which I think is probably taken out of context, in a conservative publication that usually runs things against Democrats, basically paints the Democrats as scared and nervous. And what is this article that is very slanted say? That certain Democrats are prepared for the Republicans to allegedly run out the clock as early as next week and are ready with a plan B. What does this mean? Well, the article cites, which are non-disputable, events of prior years, 10 years, last 20 years, where the Democrats said the Republicans, get this done. Oh yeah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Oh, how many more minutes till the clock runs out? I'm almost done. Just 2 more minutes. I'm almost done. Oh, clock ran out. Sorry, Democrats. Yeah, that's happened to a lot to the Democrats with the Republicans, where they just ran out the clock on the Democrats, the Republicans. And the Republicans remember that. So the article says that the Democrats are worried that the Republicans are going to run out the clock on them again starting next week. That's what the article alleges. And that the Democrats have a plan B. What's the plan B? Drum roll. Plan B is to put the roads and bridges back into the recon. What? You must be kidding me. I just explained to the viewers what happened on July 4th when it was not passable because the roads and bridges were in. Why would you put them back in there no less than 3 weeks ago when it was not passable then? Do I believe Plan B is happening? No. I don't believe that Plan B is happening. I don't believe they're going to put the roads and bridges back in the recon. I mean, we went through 2 months of why that doesn't work. So why would they put roads and bridges back in there? I don't believe that. What I do believe is a different article. Also released this week, not in a slanted publication, just sort of middle of the road publication. And what does it say? It says that it starts sort of the same way, but then ends totally different. It says that Chuck Schumer is very attentive to the time element. And he's very attentive to maybe the Republicans don't get the bipartisan done for a vote next week as they so promise. So what does the article say? That Chuck Schumer met this week with all his Democratic senators, even the most problematic Democratic senators. Yeah, you know which ones. And they all reportedly agreed to vote on the recon if the bipartisan is not ready. Yes. This is totally different than what we had heard a few weeks ago. That we said, well, if the bipartisan is not ready, we can't call the vote on the recon. Reportedly, according to that article, even the most problematic Democratic senators are sort of at their wits' end with this. That basically, okay, I've tried everything I can with this bipartisan group. If they don't get it done, we got to get this recon out. So we're not going to hold it up any longer. Yes. So I needed to show you all those respective steps across the board. Here's what you need to know. Is that 2 days ago, someone jumped in the comments and said something like, I can't wait to see when they debut that bill, how much money I'm getting. Everything is wrong with that sentence. Let me go over everything that's wrong with that sentence. Number one, we have multiple steps after the bill is debuted for things to be voted on. Every bill will start on the Senate side, presumably in the subcommittee, then to the Senate floor, back over to the House, and potentially back to the Senate for a vote-today vote-a-rama over to the President. So you have 4 places where it can get modified. And trust me, they always get modified. Number 2, this week, the Democrat House members said they're ready to modify whatever they get from the Senate. They actually said it. What did they say? I'm not a cheap date. They actually said that. I'm not a cheap date. So if I want to change things, I will change things. I'm not a cheap date. Can we just leave your dating life out of this, Congressman? So they vow to actually change things. This is huge because remember, when you look at the recon, maybe it's done right. Maybe it's done wrong. Maybe it's too high. Maybe it's too small. Maybe it's not in there. Maybe it is in there. Maybe it isn't done right. And ultimately, you got steps to change things. Finally, if you've been with this channel for a long time, you know that things get changed down to the last second. It is no time or place to hold up that donut and say, where is my check? Yes or no? When am I going to see that bill so I can see how much money I'm going to get? Because you clearly need to understand, bills get modified. We have an emoji for that. Not law yet. Just bill yet, not law yet. In fall of 2020, we were waiting for second stimulus to get passed, the Nancy Pelosi Heroes Act. It was not being done. And I said, hey, Let's put some stimulus checks in the continuing resolution. People said, who is that kid? What is he talking about? He's crazy. You don't put stimulus checks in the budget bill for the government. I said, I don't care. We need them. Put them in there. And finally, after weeks of you pushing, we woke up one day and they said, yeah, we're putting stimulus in there. We said, yes. And we looked at it. It was wrong. Did we roll over? No. Push number 1 to get stimulus in there. Push number 2, the wrong stimulus was in there. They put unemployment stimulus in there, so we had to push back again. And we pushed back again, third push, and we got the stimulus checks in there. Then, over the next few days, the checks went all over the place. Up, down, over, around, higher, lower, less eligibility, more eligibility, less people, this people. We kept on pushing, push number 4, until finally it was done. And then Toomey, Senator Toomey came out of nowhere saying, I'm going to blow up the whole second stimulus totally and not give anyone anything. And Mitt Romney stepped in and did his magic and got it done. That's why you need to understand that things change down to the final minute. And with that, I look forward to seeing you on Evenings LA. There's going to be a lot of more stuff tonight. It's a brand new broadcast taped minutes ago. It's Evenings LA coming up at 5 o'clock. Finally, a personal message. This week, this channel was testing out a new Afternoons LA show right before this. A 1 p.m. Afternoons LA show, a replay, and you have been loving it. If you notice in our evening schedule, we've had shows literally on the hour, every hour practically. A 7, an 8, a 9, and then a 11:30 show, and you've been loving them as well. So, with that excitement, in the next few weeks, this channel will move more towards an hourly format. So you'll have shows throughout the day of exciting details throughout the minute so that you don't have a place other than here to enjoy your programming. Shows literally upon the hour throughout the 24-hour run, and an opportunity to interact with your friends in the live chat as part of the Purple Power community. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. Fastest growing channel, most comprehensive, 1 year, 400,000. The next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video, 3,000 likes. Every like helps. It also delivers a side of parsley. And consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.